BraveMaker Show is hosted by Tony Gaffestone and Christina Jackson. Thanks for tuning in. It's showtime.
Oh my gosh, it's showtime. Thank you for tuning in. It's been a 2-week break. My name is Tony Gaffestone. My pronouns are he, him, his. I'm an actor and a filmmaker in Redwood City, California. I'm a Caucasian man with some brown hair and some glasses today, and I'm in my little studio. This is BraveMaker, and I'm wearing our t-shirt that says, "You are the story." And I am always joined by my friend, collaborator, Chicago travel partner, and producer of Go Veronica Go, our next feature film, Veronica. Christina Ray Jackson.
That's right, man. We were in Chicago together. Hey, Tony, welcome back. And it's so good to be back. This is wild. We had a nice 2-week break, although we did go live briefly while we were in Chicago. It wasn't all play. We did a little work while we were there. Brief description. I'm an African-American woman. I'm rocking the Captain America cosplay today with a gold star chain. I've got some wild red curly hair, and I'm in my Dublin studio. That's Dublin, California. And I usually say I'm sitting in my favorite power chair, but actually, fun fact, Southwest totaled this chair. Oh, she's still hanging on. That's airlines and power chairs. That's like a topic for a whole other show, but I'm glad to be back. She made it back. Man, and we had a great time in Chicago. We were there with our family too. Wasn't that right?
It was so cool. And I want to celebrate the Blue Whiskey Film Festival and say thank you to them for hosting us. In fact, I would like to share, before we jump into our interview, I would love to share a quick little recap that filmmaker Bree Serenity did for us to celebrate the screening of Last Chance Charlene, also the reveal of Go Veronica Go. We also won 2 awards. Super fun. So let's take a look at this 1.5-minute recap of our film festival in Chicago. Hey, Tony Gaffestone here, writer and director of Last Chance Charlene. We are screening this feature film in Chicago at the Chicago Filmmakers Blue Whiskey Film Festival. I'm a filmmaker, but I also happen to be a pastor. So I'm in this kind of theological faith community, and a lot of people say a lot of stupid stuff that are very harmful. And I had wrote a bigger film about my grandmother's suicide. I had been trying to raise $3 million in 2019, early 2020 to do it. COVID happened, and then it kind of sort of went away, and I thought, what could I do cheaper and quicker? And so I wrote Last Chance Charlene kind of in a meta way to deal with how I was personally trying to write a story about dealing with grief. Come on, how fun is that?
So much fun. Great job, Bree. That was awesome.
Bree Serenity in Chicago, now a BraveMaker. And guess what? I didn't even talk to you about this yet, but she just graduated film school, cinematographer. And there might be a place for her to lens a film that we're working on coming up.
I like the sound of that.
Come on. All right. So we're gonna chat with her about that. So we'll see. All right. Before we bring in Sassy Mohen, our featured filmmaker today, you're not going to want to miss this conversation because she has a really cool film called How to Hack Birth Control. Before we bring her in, we always ask each other, and we ask you, contribute in the chat. How are you braving your way toward your creative goals? We are here every week to inspire you to keep going after your goals because we're doing the same thing. So Christina, what'd you do this week? One thing.
That is right. This week, I signed my contract and joined the Mighty Real Sketch variety show. And we're going to be live November 5th at Piano Fight. We're going to be live for the Mighty Real Sketch variety show. And I'll just read just a quick little thing. Mighty Real is a sketch variety show, kind of like 90s era comedy and living color, all that SNL kind of vibes. Ooh. And we're going to be singing and dancing. And we have a Black, Brown, Queer writing team behind us. And it's their annual live event. And it's going to be awesome. I'm super excited. It's my first time. Shout out to Gardenia. She connected me with Tony Taylor. And I'm going to be back on stage after the musical in May. I was like, I wonder if I'll go back on stage. I like being on set, as you know, I enjoy that. But the whole live thing is like,
Yeah,
but
it's great.
I'm ready. Yeah. And what about you,
Kudos.
Tony?
That's
How you
super
braving your
exciting.
way?
Okay,
Thank
well, so
you.
a few weeks ago, on my way to Chicago, I started writing the third film. This is super wild. The third feature film in the Charlene BraveMaker universe. It's called Eyes on Dino.
Dino. That's
And
so
it's
wild.
all going to be about the relationship that Dino and Ayla have. If you've seen my film Last Chance Charlene, you'll know. If you haven't, then you got to watch Last Chance Charlene. But Christina will be back as Veronica, and we're going to see a cast of new characters and different things as Dino tries to blow up in a good way his acting career while also trying to have a relationship with Ayla and potentially a family. So I'm really stoked on this. It just started coming together.
Wow.
And yeah, so let's do it. Let's make another film. That's 2023.
Let's make another film.
Production.
That's super cool. Dino's doing extremely well with audiences. Our friend Cameron's winning all sorts of awards. It's very exciting.
That's right. Cameron just won Best Supporting Actor at the Blue Whiskey Film Festival in Chicago for Last Chance Charlene. We also won Fan Favorite. So again, thanks for the Blue Whiskey for hosting us. And we're off to CineQuest in a couple weeks. So come to CineQuest. We'll post more about that. We're going to be there in the California Theater, their big old huge iconic theater in San Jose. But with no further ado, let's stop talking about us. Let's get to our featured filmmaker. She is provocative. She is encouraging. She is challenging norms and getting into these the weeds in some of the most meaningful and important topics through her film called How to Hack Birth Control. Welcome, Sassy Mohen, everybody.
Welcome,
Hi,
Sassy.
thank you so much for having me. Yeah, hey, how's it going?
We're so glad to have you. We
and
encourage you, if you would like to do a introduction using pronouns, where you're from, and a physical description so we can be inclusive to all people listening and watching. Go for it.
Yes, that was actually what I was about to say. My pronouns are she and her. I am Caucasian, as in very white and pale, and I am wearing a hot pink shirt, and I have red hair.
All right.
Yeah, I was seeing Sassy's photos as we were doing the social media, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to rock some red hair today. And so we're here. And we got Sassy on the show. So let's jump in. I love comics. I love origin stories. Sassy, please share your origin story with us. Where were you born and raised? How has your journey uniquely prepared you for the rock star work you're doing today in film and television?
So I was born in New York City, but I was raised in Arlington, Virginia, which is basically part of DC. You know, we have the cemetery and the Pentagon and a lot of culture and art. I've known I've wanted to be a filmmaker since as long as I can remember, 7, 8, 9. I took TV production classes as a kid. My parents both actually work in TV. They work in the news. My dad worked at CNN for 20 years. And so that was really cool to grow up around all of that sort of energy and learning stuff. And, you know, I started directing plays in high school and middle school, and I did TV production all through high school. And I only applied to film schools in Southern California, much to my parents' dismay. They were like, there's film schools in state that you could go to. And I was like, no, private colleges in Southern California sound great. So I went to Chapman University and I made a feature film. Yeah. Oh, did you go to Chapman?
I didn't, but we have 2 people from BraveMaker who are Chapman people. So our intern Emerson just is starting as a freshman this month, which is really cool.
Oh, congrats. I mean, yeah, Chapman's really fun. We actually got the new film school my junior year. So I had 2 years with the old one and 2 years with the brand new state-of-the-art one. And I made a feature while I was there that Chapman said was too ambitious. So I had to kind of fight them a little bit. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. But we ended up making all our money back and getting distribution for it. And since then I've been, you know, doing my thing ever since. You know, that was in 2008. So now here I am.
So are you a first generation filmmaker?
I am, I guess.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Really. Are you guys too?
Yep.
I am.
Both
yeah.
of us are. Yeah.
Yes, we are.
We call it braving our way, just trying to figure this thing out and make it happen. And it's fun. And that's why we know part of the reason why we do this every week is we are learning too. Like we want to hear from people who are doing it, and we're trying to do it. And you know, we're not sitting here as gurus or professionals who've made it. We're with everybody else, linking arms. Let's learn. Okay, so Sassy, we selected your episodic show, How to Hack Birth Control, for the BraveMaker Film Festival. Your producer Nanik was able to come and be with us, and we all loved it. Like, it was all like kind of anonymous, or not anonymous. What's the word I'm trying to say? When everybody agrees. Why can't I think of the word?
Unanimously.
Unanimous. Oh my gosh! I think I was on vacation a little too long. Yeah, like wow.
Yeah.
It was unanimous. Everybody was like, yes, we need to make this happen. We had a program called Let's Talk About Sex, Baby. Let's talk about and it was really, really fun. So let's watch the trailer to How to Hack Birth Control. If you have not seen it yet, we won't give away too many spoilers. I mean, it's fun and it's comedy, and you're going to get the gist of it by watching the trailer. But it's doing the festival circuit right now, and I'm sure it'll be available for more people to see soon. But let's watch How to Hack Birth Control trailer. Here we go.
Remember when you didn't fuck until marriage? Neither do we. If you find abstinence only isn't working for you, got it. Congratulations, you're a human being. You wanna get a condom? And turns out, just like men, there's plenty of ways for women to have lots of sex without getting pregnant.
There's a whole world of birth control options, and we've got the best one.
If you're unable to keep your birth control sitting pretty out in the open, don't let that stop you.
A prescription for morning after pill. I cannot sell that to you.
That doesn't change your pharmacist's civic duty as an American.
God bless.
Watch out for tricky dicks.
Unless you're artificially inseminating with a turkey baster, it takes two to tango.
I've heard the utter hypocrisy of these pro-choicers. The concept of family has become one of abstract chaos.
Thanks, Dave.
Where are you going? If Eve had stayed put and not questioned her place, we would still be in paradise. You're gonna be back, right?
It used to be a hassle to get control of your own life and body. Not anymore.
But in order to find out what works for you, you'll have to sample and try some.
What's this?
Just like in dating, you don't have to get married at the first swipe.
I'm so happy for you.
Where are the women of dignity, grace, humility, and subservience? The women who honor and respect the family and who appreciate the advantages that they inherently own as women.
It's going to make my boobs get bigger.
They are out there, make no mistake. If we don't stand up for ourselves now, the power of femininity will not be repressed. It will not be contained, and it will not be silenced.
You don't have to feel ashamed, scared, or guilty because you want to get laid. Secrets out, women want to have lots of sex too.
Tune in next time on How to Hack Birth Control when we show examples of the lesbian female orgasm.
Wait, really?
Probably not, but only one way to find out.
Oh my gosh, so fun. All right, so Sassy, we need to know, where the heck did this come from? This little brainchild of yours. I have some sneaky suspicions that there's some personal things that have come into your life, said to you, done to you along the way, but let's just give us the whole shebang. How'd this go? How'd this happen?
I mean, before even getting to the film, I grew up, I guess, in a very sex positive household, as in, like, you know, just learning the facts about life. And for some reason, and I guess I just accumulated knowledge over the years because I was never afraid to ask questions, which is, I think, one thing that women are pretty much conditioned to do since birth, is being afraid to ask these questions because they're afraid of the judgment that comes after that. I don't really care about what other people think about me, so I don't, right? So anyway, I have been kind of increasingly sort of shocked over the years about things my friends or people I meet don't know about these facts. And so I do a lot of social media commercials for brands, and a lot of them involve hacks. And about like 3 years ago, I was just kind of in the middle of one, and I had this idea of how to hack birth control, and basically taking the sort of concepts and filmmaking techniques that you do for social media commercials, because those are very different than traditional filmmaking or even TV commercials. And I took those and sort of married them to my traditional filmmaking upbringing, and thus came up with How to Hack Birth Control.
Sassy, can I tell you, it was such a genius approach because you used a platform where you usually only have someone's attention span for 15 seconds to 3 minutes, but you put it into a short film. And so you had the viewer at every second, and it was all very engaging and very hilarious. And I love your formula.
Thanks. I mean, it was really cool to do because I tried a ton of things that I personally have never tried before that I'm like, let's just make a game show. I don't know. We'll figure it out, and then we did. But it's also, like you said, like taking those techniques, because when you're on your phone, you've got like 3 seconds literally to get people's attention to make them watch. And so I took those 3-second techniques and just wove it through the entire thing to keep people's attention.
This is Tony Gapistone, and we are live with filmmaker Sassy Mohen. Christina Ray Jackson and I are talking about her episodic short films called How to Hack Birth Control. If you have questions, we see that some of you are live. Feel free to put them in the chat. And our producer, Amy, is also standing by and going to be quoting and reserving some of the things that we talk about. We're here to help you make your stuff and inspire you. So, Sassy, you made these as episodic. So they were, if I remember, 3 short episodes, right? Is that how it was? And then they're obviously could be watched as 1 half-hour show, basically. Is that right?
Yeah. So it was originally going to be 3 parts. It was actually shot as 3 parts. And then I got signed, which was really cool because of How to Hack Birth Control. And through that, my managers and myself included realized that if you put the 3 together, you have a 30-minute pilot. So it worked out perfectly. And so now we've basically rebranded it and gotten rid of the 3 parts. And it's now just a TV pilot.
Mm-hmm. So I guess the next question would be, is there more? Where is this going? I'll just add to, after the screening, so many people were saying, when is this going to come out? What's next? Is this going to be in schools? It was really cool. Older and younger people saying, what a cool sex education piece, right? So talk about what's next, or what you hope is next, I guess.
I mean, that's really cool. That never gets old to me, even in the film festivals it's playing in now, to have women or men come up to me afterwards. What's happening next is, so I also just got a speaking agent this past week, which is very exciting. And so now they're going to be thank you. Yeah. And we're going to be setting up tours of colleges around the country, screening the film, and then me talking afterwards and doing a Q&A. There's a lot of states in particular that could really use this information right now.
Definitely.
And,
a few. Yep.
And also we're pitching it out to networks at the same time, so we're developing the whole How to Hack series, which was originally going to be like how to hack climate change, how to hack voting rights, those types of stuff. But because of the recent overturning of Roe v. Wade, we've detoured it to be all about women's health. So there's how to hack menopause, how to hack forced birth, how to hack you're pregnant, what's next, just different things, taking sort of taboo topics and guiding you through them and what your options are.
You have so many exciting things going on with your career. I want to kind of back up to Chapman, back to film school. When you first started creating, did you know that you wanted to use your work to create social change?
I don't think I did. I mean, because, I would like to pretend I was a really attuned 17-year-old, but, how 17, 18, how smart can you really be to society at the same time? But what I did find in film school, without realizing it at first, is that, it was me and 50 guys, and even the 300 level classes, it would be me and 8. I actually had a girl I was mentoring who was looking at colleges, and I took her to Chapman and I told her beforehand, I said, I don't know what it's like now. When I was in film school, these classes had 10 people, 8 guys, 1 artsy chick, and 1 chick that's probably a lesbian. And we walked in and that was exactly the dynamic of the room. And she turned to me and just started laughing. So, I mean, that's the thing, is that you sort of become self-aware of I'm the only woman in the room. I'm not getting called on in class. This other person got promoted in this job and I didn't, and I've done more than them, and you just start piecing things together. And I think women, unfortunately, myself included, when I was younger, you think it's your fault, there's a reason you're not getting called on. There's a reason you're not getting these jobs. But then you start realizing no, it's just mostly sexism. So I'm fine. And then I started really weaving that into my stories, because I realized that, women have so much power, and people who are often ostracized have so much power, more power than they realize, and that I really want to make films that help empower those who are not normally heard and help to lift them up. And so I think it became more of a gradual thing that sort of cemented itself maybe 10 years ago.
I love that so much. Love that you're in this space now, especially in this political climate. Wonderful to have your film out there. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. I mean,
When
it's
BraveMaker
crazy
was
everything
started,
that's going on.
Yeah, it is crazy, and it's the fact that we can wield our power through storytelling to affect change should never be underestimated. Like the power of stories, that's what we exist. We believe stories can influence, can educate, can entertain, can impact and create change. So thank you for doing this. And I'm super inspired just hearing how this has snowballed. And it's kind of, I don't know, is it kind of the dream? I mean, that's sort of what you got this agent now. Let's talk about some of that stuff, because a lot of our viewers, including us, right, we're creating to create. We have these stories to tell, but we also we want a future. We want a career. So can you talk to us about having a career as a filmmaker and some of the things that you're learning, and especially if you can emphasize the hard realities? Because I think you're here because you persevered. You've not given up, and boom, things are happening for you. So jump into that response however you'd like to.
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, someone told me, I remember when I first started, that it'll take you 10 years to actually get a career in film. And I was like, you're so wrong. And then they were right, so like 10 years in,
20 for me almost.
Right.
No overnight success is here.
I know. That doesn't exist unless you are a second generation filmmaker, to use your term, or you happen to have a lot of money, because that's the only way that you can float a project, right, is your own money. And so I basically, since I've always known I want to do this, like I said, since I was a little kid, there was no plan B. And a friend of mine, actually, that I've been friends with when I was 5, she was like, I always admired you because you said, you're moving out to California. And I asked you, well, what happens if that doesn't work? And you gave me this look like you couldn't understand my question. And I was like, yeah, because I don't understand your question, because I don't, like, what do you mean? And so, but then there's also that, but in conjunction with always looking at your work and taking constructive criticism, which is one thing that I found that newer filmmakers don't want to do, which, I can understand, because it's your baby, like you put all this time writing it and your heart and soul into it, and there's elements of yourself in it. But like when you're starting, you are going to make mistakes, like that, full stop, and I think that the mistakes are almost like the fun part, because you make them and then afterwards you go like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. And then you just don't do it again next time. Right. And then you just make less mistakes. Like there are even things in birth control that I don't go quite like cover my face all the way, but I'm just kind of like, oh God, I wish I, like hadn't done certain, like just little things that I learned while we were shooting it. And you have to be so self-reflective and then do better next time. And I think that really it's just, you have to persevere. You have to work on yourself, like who you are as a person, because this industry is, you have to market yourself as an entity. It's not just your work. People want to work with you. And this industry it's an industry. It's money. That's the other thing, is that people think like, oh, I'm great at filmmaking, so people are just going to want me. It's like, well, no, I mean, that's cool, but they want to know if they can make money off of your films. That's because the agents, the managers, everyone else, the set decorator, like they're in it to get paid. So you have to prove that you can understand the marketing aspect of it and the business side, which I unintentionally worked on. Like 12 years ago, I started a social media and branding business that I did for 3 years with a colleague of mine. And that got me out of my day job at a production company. And I learned so much about marketing and how to brand things. And then I was able to integrate that into my films. So I guess I've just kind of always, even with that first film, Happy Holidays, we used social media when it wasn't called social media. And we raised all our money online through PayPal because Kickstarter didn't exist. And we made like podcasts, like video podcasts that we put up, which was very new at the time, because we were just like, how do we get people to pay attention to us? Like anything we can do, but that also taught me a lot, because then I used those things again in the next film, but then better and then better. And so you have to look at filmmaking as like a multifold thing, right? Your film's done, but you've still got, hundreds more steps of the process to do once the film is printed. You've got to put it in festivals. You have to market it. You have to get people to watch it. You have to make the poster. You have to outreach through PR. And there are ways to do that, even if you don't have the funding to buy those things, it just, it takes more time. But then eventually, like, my films are what got me hired as a producer, editor, writer, director, and people started realizing they could save money by hiring me to direct or write or edit their projects, because then they get the other 3 attributes as well. So, I mean, it's just been a very long, arduous, and fun process, you know, as this has been going on for 16 years now or whatever.
So incredible.
Yeah.
Our producer, Film Fest producer, Jessica Musgrave, commented she loved it. It was enlightening, bold, and funny.
Yeah, Jessica.
Yeah, you probably messaged with her. Yeah.
And we met at Cinequest, actually.
You did. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Very cool.
But they don't have TV pilots on the in-person part. We're not cool enough. We just got the
part.
Did
you meet in the Zoom rooms?
We met in the Zoom intro chat thing.
Come on, that's so fun. You dropped so many nuggets in there.
Yes.
And I need to ask. Okay, so, gosh, there's so many good things. I love the approach. I love the hard work. I tell you, I'm getting to a point in my career where I'm just like going for it. Go for it. Risk. Bet on yourself, but you also have to find a way to make money. I hear you talking about the way people are wanting to monetize off you, and how that's, you can have a great story, it can be really artistic, but there's a business to it too. So I really appreciate that. I don't think a lot of filmmakers are willing to go, or they don't realize they need to invest in that part of themselves and in their work and their art. But I wanted to back up and hear, if you would, what would you do different? Because I love hearing, filmmakers say, okay, like just simple things. Like almost every film I do, I find myself going, if I could just have gotten an insert shot of this stupid prop or this stupid thing that I forgot. So I'm always reminding myself, get the insert shot. But what is something that you learned that you would do different that could be a practical, tangible thing that filmmakers who are writing or directing and producing their stuff could replicate?
First of all, plan. That's the main thing, especially with low budget filmmaking. I made a TV pilot in 2016 called Weedland, which actually now is another show that my managers and I are going to be pitching out next year to people, which is very cool. I made it for about $1,500. It's a 45-minute pilot. I mean, it doesn't look like birth control. It doesn't have that production value, but the way we did that, I built a whole dispensary for free from hovering over free Craigslist for about 6 months. I had made a list of all the items we need for set deck and for props, and I just would go on free Craigslist and be like, okay, file cabinet. One day, this office got a whole new computer system and just needed someone to come out and pick up all of their computers, their old computers and printers and everything. Yeah. And so we went over and got that. And also, like, the audition, here's a tidbit for your auditions, is that I have found actors are not treated well, right? Especially on the lower tier stuff. If you give actors sides, meaty, well-written sides, and take the time to write out an in-depth paragraph that shows them that this is a role that they could do things with, especially for women and minority characters, because a lot of sides that are given to women especially are like, girl who's hot when she takes off her glasses from Arkansas. You know what I mean? Like just one sentence descriptions. But if you give a woman a complex paragraph about why she has glasses and why she's doing these things, that actors will turn out tenfold more if you actually put that time into the audition side and the audition process. And with birth control, we started planning it in June and we shot it in November. I crewed up by July because I knew that I couldn't pay people the full day rate that they would get for normal jobs. Like I paid them a bit, but I couldn't do like $300 a day even. But friends of mine who I've helped out with their films, I'm like, hey, do you mind doing this? Here's the thing. The shoot dates are this date and this date, which were set in stone. And everyone said yes. And because of that, I had a full crew come November, because if they had a job, they're like, okay, well, these days I'm unavailable because they're already booked out. And so I find with a lot of like newer filmmakers or lower budget things, so many things are like slapdash and you forget to pick this up or that up or whatever. And if you take the time to like get your items, the low budget stuff, like the problems don't exist anymore because you're not running around trying to find batteries because you've already found all the batteries you needed a month ago and they're fully charged because you took care of it. You know what I mean? It's just like those things, but you can only kind of learn what things you have to prepare for by doing it and messing up, and then
Yep.
remembering to always bring a phone charger to set, a thing I learned in 2006 in a very long story that did not turn out well. So now I always have a phone charger on set. You know, it's little things like that make a huge difference, because it makes you seem like you have more money, aka you're more professional than people who don't.
That's huge. Planning. I don't think anyone really, I mean, that's so luxurious and generous to give yourself 11 months instead of, I think it's difficult to project. It sounds like you have an operations management background. It's hard sometimes to project all the way out. Okay, you know, what is a nice, generous amount of time to gather everything I need, half of it for free. And it's 11 months, you know? And I think that if you get that into your mindset, like that kind of time frame, then you could start planning and doing a lot better really immediately. And so once you do that and you have this amazing film, what are some of the tips you can share with filmmakers to get people to notice your film?
And one other thing I would add is write within your budget. And that's another thing that I see filmmakers do, because like people add explosions, or it's a period piece, or it takes place in outer space or whatever. And they're like, but I only have $2,000, but it's going to be great. And it's like, come on, like, how are you going to make a car explode? You know what I mean?
I'm so guilty. I'm so guilty.
But it's like, you have to like start with like 2 people taking a walk somewhere. You know what I mean? Like, do something simple, and then you can get more money or better crew or better whatever for next time. But in terms of your question, what I would say is like, find a good graphic designer is very crucial. Something I didn't know until I did that branding business 10 years ago is that you get a good logo and it makes a lifetime of difference. You get people suddenly think that your project has money if you have a crisp logo. It's very funny to me because it's like, oh, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. But you have a great logo, and then you get a good poster, and then you can reformat your logo to fit Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or whatever, you know. And if you develop a relationship with a graphic designer, it adds so much to your film. Like Birth Control could not have been made without a graphic design. I had 2 actually graphic designers working on it. One who just did the poster art and that main stuff and the logo for the game show. The other one was a graphic designer who was really brilliant, because I'd be like, I need curtains that look like a vagina. I need an eagle flying in 30 different positions. You know what I mean? Just like definitely random stuff that she was so game with, like coming up with these things. And that also adds so much production value to your project. So, I mean, those are just tidbits of how to put it together. And another thing, and not that picking up editing is easy, but once I started actually editing my projects, which I started doing in 2015, not only did they get done quicker, I was able to do so much more with them because I'm in control now. So I can make a 30-second like trailer. I can reformat my trailer to fit Instagram parameters. You know what I mean? Like I have the project. So when a film festival says I need it, but in this format, I don't need to call an editor or figure out whatever, because I know how to do it. Even if it's just learning what to do with your project when you're done, you know, like learn how to reformat it to a 1x1 for Instagram or 4x5, you know, whatever crazy. They're always changing those.
Sassy, dimensions. I just got a list of deliverables for distribution for our feature film, and I'm just over here, you know, and we lost our editor because we lost our editor in February. That's another story. Yeah. But it's so, there's so much work to be done, and people have no idea how much work. And so I'm learning now, but I hear you saying you need to learn it all and you need to be good at it. Yeah. And you know, I hate saying this too, but it is a collaborative medium, but at times your collaborators don't come through and you've got to be able to do stuff on your own. Now you can YouTube it all, but so take Sassy's wisdom to heart and learn it all. Make good connections. We need the crew. You need your crew to make a film, but at the same time, there's going to be times when it's just you on the computer making the marketing, making the social media.
Can I ask you both? Do you have to go to filmmaking school to be a good editor? Like, how can you just jump in and just do editing?
I mean, I edited as a kid, right? Like I took TV production classes when I was younger, but I stopped editing in film school because at Chapman they made us learn Avid, and I just hated Avid. I learned on Adobe when I was younger, and I stopped altogether. I too lost an editor in like 2013, 2014, and I was trying to find one in my budget, which was practically nothing, and I just couldn't do it. And I remember thinking like, well, I edited once, like how hard can it be to relearn it? And I just taught myself the new techniques through YouTube. I mean, you don't have to go to film school to learn this stuff, you know.
Right.
And even if it's like editing isn't something you're interested in, but you really like audio, you can teach yourself sound design. You know what I mean? You can teach yourself color correction. You can teach yourself a very valuable piece of the filmmaking puzzle. I don't know how to sound design, but I know the very rudimentary stuff, you know, and I don't know how to color correct on DaVinci, but I can color correct in Premiere because I've just watched YouTube videos or read forums or whatever, you know. I think that film school is an excellent, like, starting point. That the most valuable thing Chapman gave me was the networking aspect of it, of the people that I got to work on my film with and then continue to work with after the fact. But I feel as though like Happy Holidays, my feature film I made there, I did pretty much on my own. Like I used Chapman's equipment and the students, but then I did the rest. And so I wouldn't have been able to do that without Chapman because I wouldn't have found the people willing to work for free, or I wouldn't have had the money for the equipment. However, if you have people willing to work for free and the money for the equipment, then I mean, I shouldn't say this. My advice is skip film school and just make a movie, you know?
Hey, we love that kind of stuff. We live by that kind of stuff.
Because some film schools are going to cost $100,000 over, maybe even more, over 4 years, and you can make a good movie with $100,000.
You could definitely make it's like, you know, and I had a nice scholarship at Chapman, but I do think it's cute, like when I get random letters like donations, and I'm like, okay, Chapman. There's still student loans that in my monthly expenses, and you want me to give you more money. It's like that John Mulaney joke from a stand-up where he's like, you spent it already? I gave you $120,000 and you spent it, you know, like that's how I feel about it.
Well, I'm digging all of this, and I think you are a fire, a fierce work of creative forces all in this work that you're doing, and I really thank you for sharing this. And BraveMaker loves the type of work that you're doing, the style, all that kind of stuff. So if we can be any way, you know, partnering with you in the future, let us know. You know, you're always welcome to come back and share all the work, and we will definitely be getting eyes on your work in the future. So thank you for being a friend of BraveMaker now and an alum. We're really happy to meet you and to support you, and really grateful for your work. Seriously.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I loved like the lineup you guys had for the festival. We need more film festivals like BraveMaker that focus on alternative stories. And it's not even alternative, right? It's just like, I call it the white man dance, like no offense, but it's like most of the short films you see in festivals are like the white man dance, right? Like it's about a white man and his white man problem and how the world doesn't understand him. And then, you know, in the end, there's two different routes, either terrible or great. And like, but there's so many more stories to the world than that. And I really love festivals like BraveMaker that go out of their way to find those stories and to showcase them, because they're just as good as the films and the stories that we've seen for the past 100+ years. You know, there's so many more voices that need to be watched and heard.
Sassy, I love the stories you're telling. I can't see what story you're going to tell next. Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit what's next for you? Where can we find you next?
I mean, right now it's just we're about to take the pilot How to Hack Birth Control on tour. So I'm really excited because doing that will give me more opportunity to write and work on Weedland and this other TV series that I'm developing called True Perfection, that's based off a feature film I did like 11 years ago. And it's about social media and, you know, how the stigmas of society and things we do to try and fill those unobtainable things that the world tries to force on us. But I'm just in the middle of writing those right now and really enjoying bringing How to Hack Birth Control to places like tomorrow. I'm going to New York. It's screening at 2 festivals, one in Queens and one in the city. And, you know, and it's in other festivals, like it's one in Minnesota in September. I'm going to in Vegas in October. And so right now I'm just trying to get the word out about how to hack birth control to as many people as possible, and then do my writing and probably start my next project in early next year sometime.
Okay,
love
come
it. You're on
on.
fire, right? Yeah.
This is great. Don't just talk about creating and making movies. Freaking do it. Right
Yeah.
on, Sassy. Go to birthcontrolhacks.com to find out how you can watch the film and where Sassy will be. You can also sign up on her email list there. And then you can go to her her Instagram page, which is Sassy Mohen, and follow her. If you saw her film at the festival, reach out to her. Let her know we want to support filmmakers like Sassy, and we're so glad that you were with us today. And we're going to end our show, as we always do, with one of our favorite ways to end.
Brave Faves. TV shows, films, books, songs, technology, clothing, podcast, food, and more. These are a few of our favorite people, places, and things. Brave Faves.
So it's the beginning of August, and I've got about 1 million projects on my plate. And what I have been loving is the Deepest Healing Sleep Hurts video. I mean, it's so wonderful and relaxing. It goes on for hours. I don't know if you can hear any of it, but it is so calming. And I love to end my day, which is usually like around midnight lately, with this video. And I just drift off to sleep, Tony, and it's beautiful. And I had to share. And oh, you can hear it. Oh, it's so wonderful. It's putting me to sleep already. I'll throw it over to you, Tony. What's your brave fave?
Christina's always good for a little white, beautiful. I guess this is white noise, but a little background
ambient tranquility.
Yeah, that's good. Okay. My brave fave is the second season of Only Murders in the Building. I love a freaking murder mystery, and I just love this trio of Selena Gomez, Martin Short, and Steve Martin. They're really fun together, and it feels like, I don't know, like it feels like a, like Clue, and it's funny and it's super witty writing, and I just love these. I don't know. I love these characters. I love the old guy, the old white guys with this young Latina. It's just a really fun show. So if you haven't watched it, check it out. It makes me laugh, and it also inspires me. Like I watch it and just I want to go write. So that's my brave fave. Sassy, what about you?
I actually, something that's not necessarily new, but I did recently discover it, is the West Wing Weekly podcast. I love the show The West Wing. Yeah, have you heard of the podcast? Or
no, I heard of the show.
Yeah, it's done by Josh Molina and his friend Harishi. I don't remember his last name, but Josh Molina is one of the actors on the show, and they started in 2016. And each episode they talk about an episode, and they also have guest actors on. They had Aaron Sorkin on, and like Bradley Whitford, and like they have the entire cast on at different points. And I am rewatching the series now, like watching an episode and then listening to the podcast.
Oh, that's
and the podcast is super cool because they talk about so many aspects of filmmaking that I didn't know about, what it's, things that happen on a show of that budget. And also it's a little time capsule because they sometimes reflect what's happening in politics. And so I'm in the episodes that they finished in February 2017. So there's a lot of interesting things that are being discussed. If we can all remember when the Trump administration started, which was January 2017. And it was funny listening to their podcast that aired right after the election. But anyway, the podcast in general is really funny, and it's super informative about politics and filmmaking. And it's called The West Wing Weekly.
Nice.
Very cool. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Sassy, and stay with us for a minute. Thank you, all of you who are watching and or listening, either live or on the replay. We're super grateful for your support. We are a nonprofit, so we cannot do this work without your support. Listen, I think last time I was on this podcast, I think I said we had 22 monthly givers. 3 people have joined, so we're at 25 monthly givers that come in every month, and this helps us to do this work. This helps us to do everything with pay rent and our taxes. This helps us to get our gear and to host our events and offset costs for our team when we get together for meetings, for supplies, and sometimes even dinner. So thank you so much for those of you who are supporting. Once we get more, we're going to leverage some of this to the films that we are doing. In fact, that's kind of our goal, is we want to keep growing BraveMaker so we can do films like Go Veronica Go and Eyes on Dino. And if that's you, if you are somebody who wants to be a large donor or an executive producer of our next feature film, reach out to me or to Christina. You can easily find us. We are very easy to find, and we are working hard to see this film come to life. So join us. Christina, what's up next?
We have a phenomenal show next week. We actually have a BraveMaker crew member joining us. Priscilla will be with us. And we have to thank our BraveMaker crew because we could not do this show without you all. Amy Cohen, our wonderful live show producer out of Austin, Texas. Carrie Alley, our fantastic social media manager out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. Also out of Grand Rapids is Bernal Amos, our podcast editor. And we have to thank our interns, Emerson Morley out of San Francisco and Sarah Agolia. We can't do the show without you and without your support, and we thank you all.
And as we end, Sassy, one more time, where people can find you.
You can find me at Sassy Mohen on Instagram. On Facebook is at Sassy Mohen Films. My website is sassymohen.com. And the birth control website is birthcontrolhacks.com.
By the way, great freaking website. You all should go to it, see it, be inspired, get a graphic designer, and make that film, y'all. Okay. Sassy, don't go away. We'd love a snapshot with you, but we always end by saying brave stories change the world.
And you are the story. Bye, everybody.
Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook at BraveMaker.org. Like, subscribe, and share. To become a monthly donor, text the word BraveMaker to 44321 or go to bravemaker.com/donate. Thanks for tuning in.